is a self-composed exam paper for biology, and these are predictions for 2025. So if you're a GCE or an internal candidate, these revisions are going to help you prepare for your exams. So I've gotten different parts from different past papers, put them together, and I came up with this past paper that I want to revise with you. Even as we proceed, I want you to follow me clearly and attentively. So if you've not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you do so. Section A, we are told to say answer all the questions in the spaces provided on the question paper. This is what we are given. So figure 1.0 shows the setup to an experiment used to investigate the effect of a biological catalyst on the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide to produce oxygen. Those of you that are doing chemistry, you know this setup is used in the preparation for oxygen. So I won't dive much into that because we are looking at biology. So 3 experiments were carried out under different conditions as shown in the table below. So even as I continue, if these words are too small for you to see, I'll kindly advise you to put your phone in landscape so that you are going to be able to see these small words. So this is a table that is given. This is a table that we have. This is a particular table. So you study through this, you try to analyze volume of hydrogen peroxide, number of potato disc used, nature of potato disc used here. First experiment, none was used, but we get to have a volume of oxygen that was 1.5 cubed centimeters. The first question is telling us to say, so the first question that is here is telling us to say, what is the general name given to a biological catalyst? Without wasting much time, this one is the simplest. You know that the answer there is what? Enzyme. So the answer is as what? The answer is as enzyme. By definition, we get to say an enzyme is a biological catalyst that speeds up or slows down. So that term that we are saying, the phrase biological catalyst. So just know that the first answer there is what? Enzyme. Give a reason for boiling the potato disc in experiment 2. What is the reason we are boiling the what? The potato disc in experiment 2. This experiment 2. What is the reason? So the reason, since we are saying that the name that is given to a biological catalyst is enzyme. So the reason why we are boiling is so that we can do what? We can denature. So we get to say, we get to do what? We get to denature the enzyme. So we denature the what? We denature the enzyme. So this is what we get to say. To denature the what? To denature the enzyme. Just like this, you're answering up this particular question. We proceed now and look at this next question here. Explain the difference in results obtained between experiments 1 and 3. So experiments 1, this is experiment 1, and this is experiment 3. What are some of the differences? You discover that experiment 3 gave us greater volume. Have you seen experiment 3? Gave us greater what? Greater volume. So you say experiment 3, you write incomplete, you say experiment what? You say experiment 3 gave what? Gave greater what? Greater volume. So experiment 3 gave greater what? Greater volume of oxygen. Greater volume of what? Greater volume of oxygen compared to what? Compared to experiment 1. Why was it so? Due to what? We say due to what? Due to presence of what? Enzyme. Due to presence of what? Due to presence of enzyme. So this is what you need to do. This is how you get to write and answer those particular questions just like this. So I'm teaching you how to answer these questions. The reason why I said here that it's the reason why we had to use a boiling, the reason for boiling the potato disc is because we want to denature the enzymes, and you discover that the reason why we want to denature the enzymes is to change the original shape of the enzyme. So this is the reason why. I guess you followed me even up to this point. We proceed and look at part B. So we move to part B now. This is part B under the same question. So part B now is telling us to say, so this is part B. So this is part B. Part B is telling us what? I guess you are able to see here. So this is the question. Part B is telling us to say, predict what would be the result of. So we want to predict the what? Want to predict the result of increasing the number of potato disc in 5 cubed centimeters of hydrogen peroxide. What will be the result if we increase the number of potatoes in 5 centimeters? 5 cubed centimeters. What would be the what? What would be the result? What are we going to expect? This is what the question is telling us. So to answer this, you discover that increase in potato disc result in what? Result in greater what? A greater product of oxygen. This is what you need to understand. So the greater the increase in potato disc, you discover that potato disc in this case, or potatoes, are used as what? Enzyme. So in a case where you get to increase what? Increase the number of potato discs, you discover that it will result in what? So we get to say that it will result in what? Result in a what? Result in a greater, so I'll say result in a what? Result in a greater a product of oxygen. Greater product of what? Product of oxygen. So there I'd written O2. So when I write like this, just know that this is oxygen, just one and the same. It should not confuse you. So this is how you need to go about this. And then heating, we need to predict the result of heating the mix of 5 cubed centimeters of hydrogen peroxide with 5 potato discs. What are we going to have there? You also discover that this would also result in increase in what? So you discover that this would do what? This would, so you say this would do what? This would result in what? It will result in increase. So I'll say that it will result in what? Result in increase of what? Increase of oxygen production. So this is it. You can write in full. I'm writing like this so that I get to summarize this and put it in simple words where you are able to see. So this is it, and this is how you need to answer these particular questions. We proceed now. C. Suggest 2 other characteristics of biological catalyst not demonstrated in A and B of this particular question. So they want you to suggest the other characteristic of biological catalyst. So characteristic of enzyme, have you seen? We know that, okay, one of a biological catalyst that we've identified is that they are what? Enzymes. And I've told you that potatoes are used as enzymes in this experiment. So one of which is we've not looked at what we get to call concentration of what? Look at a concentration. So a concentration of what? Substrate. So concentration of what? A substrate. And we also need to look at the pH. So these are the only 2 other characteristics of biological catalysts that have not been demonstrated in question A and B. As simple as this. So we are done with question number 1. And you need to understand that questions that you get to expect in an exam under section A, question number 1, we've looked at this. Have you seen? You also need to understand what we get to call cell structure. So I'll say cells, but you know that we look at cells, cell structure and specialization. Apart from this, you can also find a question under transport. So we can find a question under transport. Transport in a plants. So transport in what? Transport in plants. I'm just giving you some topics since this is a prediction, something that is going to help you prepare for your exams. So have you seen cells? Transport in plants, you need to look at this. So transport in plants, you need to understand osmosis, you need to understand active transport, diffusion, all those things you need to understand them. So after watching this particular video, consider these particular topics. So let us now move and look at the next question. So let us look at this other question. We move now. We've got question number 2. This is also an interesting question that I want to revise with you. The question is saying, figure 2.1 and 2.2 shows two endocrine glands labeled P and Q respectively. This is to tell you that you need to understand the endocrine system, the nervous system. You need to look at a topic called response and coordination. I guess you're writing down these topics that I'm telling you. After this, you need to make sure that you consider studying these ones. So this is a session that is going to help you prepare for your exams for 2025. But this can also be used even in the years to come. So let's make sure that we follow this clearly and attentively. So we look at this, make sure that you study through everything. So identify the endocrine gland P and Q. Where is the P? So we look at where the P is. Have you seen where the P is? So we've got the P is there, then the Q is there. So to cut this so short, you are going to observe one thing, or you are going to discover one thing here. This thing that looks like a flower, we know that has got everything to do with the what? A pancreas. So this one, this is a what? This is a pancreas. So we say this is a what? This is a pancreas like this. Then this P, what is this particular P? This P that is there, this is what we get to call the what? We get to call adrenal gland. So adrenal what? Adrenal gland. So we say this is the adrenal gland, this is the pancreas. You discover that we don't put S here. Once we put S, we are talking about something different. So make sure that you get it that way. This is the right way of writing it. We proceed. Hormones. So I've already told you, for you to have a concrete understanding, make sure that you study through this topic called response and coordination. So after this session, study through all these topics that I'm giving you. I'm giving you to my side topics so that you study through them. State one hormone produced by each gland. We get to have a hormone produced by gland P, adrenal gland. So you discover that here we get to the hormone that gets to be produced is for fight or flight. So we get to say now the name of the hormone there, we can now say that is what? Adrenaline. So we can just say adrenaline like this. We go to this one. We are taught to say hormone produced by gland Q. So gland Q, where is gland Q? Pancreas. So discover that we get to talk of, we can talk of a glycogen. So we can talk of glycogen, or we can put what? Insulin. It is just one and the same. So they will mark you. You can put insulin or glycogen. It is just one and the same. We proceed and look at this particular question that is here. Explain how the enzyme produced by gland P stated in A2. A2 is here. So stated in A2 plays above plays a role in coordination. How does it play a role in coordination? So I've told you coordination, it's a wonderful topic because it gets to tell us how things get to move and coordinate with each other. So you discover that here we can pick insulin, we can put any. So you discover that insulin, the way it works, you discover that it converts. So here you can, if you wrote this one, you can say, okay, insulin, what it does is that it converts what? It converts glycogen to glucose. This one, it is the opposite. So they are just one and the same. This is the opposite of that. So what I'm saying I pick this one. So what I'm going to say is that you discover that that one gets to do what? It converts. So I'm going to say that it converts what? It converts glucogen. So it converts glucogen to what? Glucogen to glucose. So it is going to convert that to glucose. When this happens, you discover that results in what? So you discover that results in what? Results in increasing. You discover that we are going to have an increase in what? Increase in the heart rate. Increasing the what? Increasing the heart rate. So increasing the heart rate as well as what? And breathing what? And breathing rate. Your temperature. So breathing what? Breathing rate. Everything gets to change. And you are going to observe that it is now going to divert what? Blood flow. This one is going now to divert what? It is going to divert now what we get to call the blood flow. The blood flow now will be diverted from the what? Will be diverted from, so it will be diverted from what? From the gut. So you say from the gut to the muscles. So to the what? To the muscles. So this is what you need to say. To the what? To the muscles. So this is how you need to answer it. This is the reason why I told you to say that here we are just talking about the fight or flight hormones. When these are produced, you discover that your body temperature, everything gets to increase because of what? Fear. So this is what gets to, when you see something scary, this is an hormone that gets to be produced. I guess you are able to follow me clearly and attentively. Let us now look at this particular question. Explain the other role played by gland Q apart from producing hormones. So apart from producing what? Apart from producing hormones, what other thing? So gland Q that we are talking about is the pancreas. So the pancreas produces hormones. Apart from producing hormones, we get to say that the pancreas gets to produce what we get to call the pancreatic juice. So you discover that it produces what? It produces, so you need to understand that it produces the what? It produces the pancreatic. So I'm going to say that it produces the what? It produces the pancreatic what? The pancreatic juice. So it is going to produce the what? It is going to produce the pancreatic juice. So this is the other what? The other role that is played by the what? The enzyme. I mean the pancreas. So this is the other role played by the pancreas to produce what? To produce the pancreatic juice that contains the digestive enzymes. So this pancreatic juice, you discover that it contains what we get to call, it contains the what? Contains the digestive enzymes. So it contains the what? It contains the digestive enzymes. So this is what you need to understand. So it contains the what? The digestive enzymes. So like this, we are moving and progressing together. We are done with question number 2. So question number 2, we now proceed to question number 3. Let us now move on to question number 3. This is question number 3 that is here. This is a wonderful question. So let us see how we can answer now this other question. These are wonderful questions and I believe you are enjoying. So I've told you coordination and response and coordination. Make sure that you study through that particular topic. Question number 3. This one is falling under what we get to figure. The question is saying figure 3.0 shows the muscles in a bent limb in a what? Grasshopper. So this topic, I want you to study a topic called locomotion. You study through locomotion. Here we look at skeletons, we look at bones, all those synovial joints. So you look at all those particular topics. So I'm just giving you a head, like a go-ahead topics that you need to make sure that you dive into them. These ones are the ones that come in an exam. So make sure that you study through them, understand them clearly and attentively. Question number 1. So this is A. It's saying identify muscles R and S. The muscle R that is on top. So the moment you just notice that, okay, this is a bent limb of a bent limb in a what? In a grasshopper. So they want us to identify the muscle that is on top. The muscle that gets to be up there, we get to call it what? This is called a flexor. Have you seen? It is called a flexor muscle. This is it. Then this one that is down, we get to call it the what? Extensor muscle. So this is it, the flexor muscle. So this is called the flexor muscle. This is called the what? Extensor what? Extensor muscle. So this is it, and I guess you are understanding. After this lesson, make sure that you go through exam questions and the notes. Make sure you are able to answer any question that gets to fall under these things, because we are revising through them and you should not face any challenges. In order to straighten, in order to make it straight, to discover, they are saying in order to straighten the limb, what happens to muscle R and S, to these two muscles? What is going to happen to this? You discover that this muscle that we get to call a flexor muscle, it is going to relax once we straightened. When we make this part straight, to discover that that one is going to do what? Is going to relax. So that one is going to relax. Then this other one, since this one is relaxing, the other one is going to do what? Contracts. So this one is going to do what? Contracts. And you discover that this question that is here, state the term used to refer to the action of muscle what? Muscle R and S. So this one is relaxing, this one is contracting. So what is the term that gets to refer to those type of muscles in this particular action? You discover that these are called what? These are called the antagonistic muscles. So we call them antagonistic muscles. Antagonistic what? Muscles. You are asking yourself, sir, what are these antagonistic muscles? Antagonistic muscles, these are type of muscles that get to work in opposite direction. So these ones get to work in what? Opposite direction. As simple as that. We proceed, they're telling us to say, identify the type of muscles, type of skeleton shown in this figure. This type of skeleton. Skeleton in a grasshopper, that is called an exoskeleton. So you need to understand all the three types of skeletons. So hydrostatic skeleton, endoskeleton, and the exoskeleton. You need to understand through all those things. So even as you get to study, I believe you are going to understand them. I'm also giving you things that you need to understand. Study through these things that I'm telling you. You discover that you will not face any like this question. State three functions of the skeleton. Can you fail to state the three functions of the skeleton? You discover that one function of the skeleton, you discover that this one provides what? You discover that it provides attachment. So you need to get right that it provides what? It provides attachment of what? Attachment of muscles. Attachment of muscles for what? Locomotion purposes. So for locomotion purposes, we move now to the next one. What is the other function? It supports what? So apart from providing attachment, is that this one gets to do what? It supports what? Body tissues. So supports what? Body tissues. It supports body tissues. And another function is to do what? Is to protect organs. So is to do what? Is to protect what? To protect organs. You discover that if we remove the skeleton, some of the organs are going to be visible. Okay, we'll be able to see them. So these are just some of the functions of the what? Functions of the organs, functions of the skeletons. And I've told you a topic that you need to study here, locomotion. Study through that particular topic. So immediately I'm done with this. These are topics that you need to study, even as you get to prepare for your exams. Make sure that you study through them. Let us proceed and look at this particular question that is here. Question number 4. This is the biology that you are going to write. And you discover the section A, you are going to find 5 questions. And so we move now to question number 4. This topic, in simple words, we are talking about reproduction. So meaning that you need to study through this particular topic called what? Reproduction. So it is saying figure 4 summarizes the stages in the formation of the human fetus. So this is it. You discover that when this and this get to fuse together, they get to form something here, get to have above cells, then the fetus there gets to be formed. Now, have you seen the way it is? You need to understand reproduction. And the way this particular question is not to tell you that you find a question like this in an exam, exactly the same. No, they get to differ. This is the reason I'm telling you, study through reproduction. You can find something under sexual reproduction where we get to look at some pollen grains, pollination, reproduction in flowering plants. All those things can come. So this is the reason I have just picked a general topic called reproduction. Study through that. The first question is telling us, identify the cells labeled T and U. So you identify the cells labeled T and U. What are these cells? T, that T that is there. What is the name of that part? The T. Okay, have you seen the way this one is looking? That is a sperm cell. So you say that is a what? That is a sperm cell. This one, that is an ovum. So you are done like that. These are correct terms that you are supposed to use. State one way in which cell T and cell U in figure 4 are genetically similar. So we state one way in which a sperm cell and a way in which a sperm cell and ovum are similar. Have you seen this word here? They have put a word here, genetically similar. So you discover that when these two get to fuse together under fertilization, so that we get to form a zygote. So each cell gets to donate 23 chromosomes so that we can have a baby that is going to be born that is going to have 46 total number of chromosomes. So you discover that each gets to do what? Both get to have 23 chromosomes. So both have what? Both have what we get to call 23 what? 23 chromosomes. So both get to have 23 what? 23 chromosomes. As simple as this. So this is how you are supposed to go about this. I guess you are getting something. Here they are telling us to say, mention 3 functions of the part labeled what? V. What is that part labeled V? If you look at this part labeled V, this is called a placenta. So what are the 3 functions of the placenta? What are the 3 functions of the placenta? One, we may consider this. We can say, okay, what I'm going to say here. One, we can look, you need to understand that the placenta arouse what? You discover that arouse exchange of food. Arouse exchange of food. So I'll just say exchange of what? Exchange of materials. Exchange of what? Exchange of materials from we'll say from the mother's immune we'll say from between the what? Between the mother and the fetus. So you say exchange of materials between what? Between, so you finish, you say between what? Between mother and what? And the fetus. So between mother and fetus, like that. And the other function, we also need to understand that it protects the fetus from the mother's immune system. Gets to do what? Protects. So I'm going to say that it does what? Protects the fetus. So it protects the fetus from the what? From the mother's. So from the what? Mother's immune system. You can finish it. Mother's what? Immune system. So finish it. There is also a topic called immunity. Make sure you study through it. I've just remembered. Study through that particular topic. The third one, you discover that it does what? It attaches. So I'm going to say that it does what? It attaches. So attaches the what? Attaches the fetus. So it attaches the fetus to the uterus. To the what? To the uterus. So I guess you are able to understand all these things. When you study through all these topics, you discover that these are simple topics and these are simple things that you need to know. They are telling us to say, identify 3 causes of infertility in human beings. Infertility. What makes people not to conceive, not to have a baby, all those things. So when we are talking about infertility, one, we need to understand there's something that is called alcoholism. Too much alcohol, when you're drinking too much. We also look at low sperm count. So low sperm count can also cause infertility. We also look at what we get to call in women. We may also consider what we get to have a blocked what? A blocked oviduct. So blocked oviduct. These are 3 causes of infertility that you can find in human beings. You are done, and this is how you need to go about these particular questions. So we are done with this. We proceed to the last question, section A. So this one is falling under genetics. It is important to study through genetics if you don't know. Genetics is one of the cardinal topics that one needs to understand. So you study through topics like excretion. You study topics like transport both in animals and plants. You also understand homeostasis. You study through a lot of things, ecology, even as you get to prepare for a biology exam. So I don't know if you're able to see here saying red-green color blindness is a sex-linked characteristic. I guess those of you that have followed me closely at some point had to answer this particular question. The first question, they are telling us to say, define a sex-linked characteristic. What is a sex-linked characteristic? So you need to understand that a sex-linked characteristic, we are talking about a characteristic that is seen. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say this is a what? We are talking about a what? A characteristic. So this is a characteristic seen as a what? You say as a result. So a characteristic seen as a result of what? I'm going to say as a result of what? As a result of a gene carried. So as a result of gene carried on a sex chromosome. On a what? On a sex chromosome. That is what we get to call a what? That is a sex-linked characteristic. We are talking about a characteristic that is seen as a result of gene carried on a sex chromosome. Then here, they are telling us to say that what can cause sex-linked genetic disorder, like the what? Like the red-green color blindness. So here you just need to understand one thing. You discover the causes of what? Sex-linked, as long as we are talking about genetic disorder. You need to understand that it has got something to do with what? We get to look at mutation. So mutation in the what? In the gene structure. Mutation in the what? Mutation in the gene structure. So you say mutation in the what? In the in the gene structure. So this is it, and this is how you need to go about it. Where you understand that mutation, when we are talking about mutation, we are talking about the change in the structure of a gene, or the change in the number of what? In the number of chromosomes. That is what we get to call what? Mutation. So you study through, I know you are going to study through genetics. So you are going to understand all these things. You are going to tell me, after you attend to that biology paper, you discover that all these things, you are going to know them, and you discover that you will come and testify that, okay, sir, the topics that you were giving and these revisions have helped. You are going to tell me. So we now move on to this question that is here. A normal couple had a color-blind son. Get the word here. They're telling us a normal what? A normal couple. So for a normal couple to have a child with a color-blind, meaning that one of the two was a carrier. And when we are talking about this type of blindness, you discover that it is only a female that can be a carrier. But in male, it either you are sick or not. So hemophilia, I guess you know what hemophilia is. So these are things that I've taught, and these are things I know that you've studied. So look at rhesus factor and hemophilia. Study through these particular things. So they're telling us, using the gene, we've got this capital R for normal color vision and small r for color blindness. Write down the genotype of the father. I've told you that the father was normal. So if it was normal, it is like this. So as male, if we are a man like me, meaning that it is only us that gets to have this kawaii chromosome. In ladies or women, it is as XX. So since this woman was a carrier, meaning that it is, you do this capital R and small what? Small r. We only get to have these two. When we have these two, when we cross them, we are going to have one of the child. We can produce a child that can have a color blindness, or can have a color vision. Have you seen a color blindness like that? So this is it. So meaning this one was a carrier, but this one was normal. Now, we now proceed to the next question that is here. Using a genetic diagram, show how the son would, or show how the son could have been born colorblind. So here, this is a question, and it comes every year, and you need to know how to draw a genetic what? Genetic diagram. How do we go about this? The first thing, we put it in stages. The first thing you need to do, you need to say what? Parental. So you say parental what? Parental phenotype. Phenotype is the outward appearance of an organism. So parental phenotype, we are talking about a normal what? We are talking about a normal what? A normal mother. So I can say a normal mother like this, a normal mother being crossed with the what? The normal father. Both of them are normal. Have you seen? So normal what? Normal father. In genetics, even as you are drawing a genetic diagram, if you just forget that X, it means that is not even a genetic diagram. Nothing happened. So make sure you put that X. Very important. You stage 2 or step 2, where you say parental what? Parental genotype. So this is parental genotype. Parental genotype, what do we mean? So parental genotype, meaning for the mother, we said that is like this, isn't it? This is for the mother. For the father, we had to say that these are the what? The genotypes. So we do this. From here, we split these to form what? To form what we get to call gametes, which is step 3. So we form what? We form gametes. So we are going to form gametes. We split them. This one comes here like this one there like that, this one here like that, then the Y there like this. From here, the next thing that is going to take place is fertilization, so crossing. This one comes here, down here, goes first that, so this is like this, here like this. This is what we are going to have. Then this one comes here, then goes to the second one that is there. So X capital R small y, normal male. Have you seen? The wheel here, this one comes here. Have you seen like this? Then goes there. What we are going to have here, this is what? X small r, X capital R, cardia. We are talking about a cardia. This one is normal but is a cardia. And female, XX. Then this one just here like this and there. So meaning X small and Y. This person has got a color blindness. So here, this part, I mean 1, 2, 3, then we know that this is the first generation. Have you seen? First generation what? So offspring, first generation of offspring for genotype. So here, this is genotype. I put what? Genotype offspring. So I say this is what? A genotype. Then first generation phenotype, we now get to have these ones now. We say, okay, this one that was born, this one is what? This is a normal what? A normal female. So I'll say normal what? Normal female. Normal female. Then this one, we get to say this is a normal male. So normal what? Normal male. Like this. This is a what? A normal female, but we know that this is a cardia. Normal what? Normal female. But is a cardia, like that. So this one is a cardia. This one that is here, this one gets to have what we get to call a lead-green color blindness. Lead-green color what? Color blindness. So color what? Blindness. You complete it. You say color blindness. So this is it. You discover it's not that all these offspring are going to be born. It's only one of these that is going to be born. There's a probability. So you discover that if a question was there telling us to say, what are the chances of having a color blindness, son? You discover that it is 1 over what? Over 4, which is just the same as 25%. But since they are telling us that this couple had a son with a color blindness, so we need to show that, okay, it is possible because we've got a color blindness from this type of what? Offsprings that are here. So this is it, and this is what you need to understand. This is where we are going to end from, and I guess you've learned 1 or 2 things. For those of you that want tuitions for biology, you are a GCE internal candidate, this is my number. I'm saying that if you want tuitions, this is a public video, and I'm preparing my students for the exams. So this is it. This is my number. WhatsApp me on this particular. I'm not saying those of you with questions. I'm saying if you want to join, we get to do I learn an online academy. This is a school for online lessons. So WhatsApp me. I add you to the group. I prepare you. If you're GC internal, let me help you get that distinction that you want. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe. I've taken a lot of time because I wanted you to be clear and get an understanding. So this paper is only section A. So all the topics that I've given you, they will also help you for section B. You discover that you need to study topics like ecology, reproduction, respiration, everything that I've been telling you here. Make sure that you study through them. They can also help you under section what? Section B. You look at germination, all those things, study through them. Thank you so much for your attention, and have a wonderful day. This is your brother and friend, Harrison J. Zulu Tutor. Please subscribe to this channel, put a comment, and let me know what you've learned. Thank you.